Happy Mind Day! A new week have arrived with new possibilities. In this week's Mind Day, we will talk about one of Charles Dickens' books. Enjoy! Book Summary: The Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. A story of love, sacrifice, and resurrection against the backdrop of the tumultuous French Revolution. A Tale of Two Cities is a true classic. Set during the French Revolution, it delves into the stark contrast between the aristocracy and the oppressed common people. Themes of love, sacrifice, and personal transformation are explored, along with the characters' journeys and quests for redemption. This episode of Charles Dickens' masterful story will not only summarize the novel, but is also a gateway to engaging in meaningful discussions about the themes and historical significance of the book. The best and worst. Picture a bleak and foggy London as messenger Jerry Cruncher embarks on a journey to Tellson's Bank. His task? To deliver an enigmatic message to Jarvis Lorry, who's on a mail coach struggling up Shooter's Hill, accompanied by two shadowy figures. Lorry eventually reaches Dover and takes refuge at the Royal George Hotel. There, he encounters Lucy Manette, a forlorn young Frenchwoman, who imparts the grim news that her father, Dr. Alexander Manette, presumed dead after languishing for nearly 2 decades in the Bastille, has miraculously resurfaced. Lorry reveals his own role in spiriting Lucy away from France when she was a small child, while her father remained oblivious. In the desolate streets of Paris, they discover Dr. Manette laboring away in a squalid garret above Defarge's wine shop, cobbling shoes with a vacant stare. He's a man robbed of his memory and his daughter. Initially, he fails to recognize Lorry, but eventually, a flicker of recognition lights up his eyes. In a poignant moment, Lucy steps forth and unveils herself as his daughter, and in that instant, the pall of forgotten memories is lifted. Dr. Manette regains his senses, but the scars of his brutal captivity linger, both in his mind and on his frail body. Time for joy is brief, for the looming threat of discovery forces them to whisk Dr. Manette away from Paris under the shroud of night. This excerpt is full of grim foreboding. Against the backdrop of the impending French Revolution, Dickens paints a portrait of a desolate London and a Paris teetering on the brink. The characters harbor secrets, and the mood is one of somber mystery and family reunions tinged with sorrow, as the ominous storm of political and social turmoil gathers on the horizon. Analysis. In this section, Dickens introduces the reader to the contrasting worlds of London and Paris in the late 18th century, foreshadows the impending French Revolution, and establishes key themes and characters. One of the prominent themes explored in this section is the stark contrast between the two European capitals, and the social inequities that define them. Dickens vividly depicts the opulence and affluence of London through the character of Mr. Jarvis Lorry, the elderly and respectable banker who travels in a comfortable mail coach. In contrast, Paris is portrayed as a city on the brink of chaos, with an impoverished and restless populace. The opening sentence of the novel, "It was the best of times, it was the worst of times," captures this theme of duality and foreshadows the events to come. London represents the best of times, characterized by stability and prosperity, while Paris embodies the worst of times, marked by disorder and suffering. Let's take a closer look at the characters. Jarvis Lorry, a reliable and conservative banker, embodies the stability of London. He is tasked with a mysterious mission, to travel to Paris and assist in the recalling to life of an individual named Dr. Manette. This phrase serves as a metaphor for the reawakening of Dr. Manette's forgotten past and identity after his long imprisonment in the Bastille. It also foreshadows the broader theme of resurrection that runs throughout the novel. The character of Dr. Manette, who is discovered to be alive after 18 years of captivity, symbolizes the suffering and injustice endured by many under the oppressive regime of pre-revolutionary France. His story presents a microcosm of the broader societal issues Dickens explores in the novel. Dr. Manette's mental instability, caused by his prolonged isolation, reflects the psychological toll of political tyranny and injustice. As Lorry and the reader are transported from London to Dover and eventually to Paris, Dickens masterfully builds tension and suspense. The mysterious passengers on the mail coach add an element of intrigue, and Jerry Cruncher's cryptic message, recalled to life, adds to the enigma. These elements create a sense of anticipation and draw the reader deeper into the narrative. Paris is depicted as a city on the brink of breakdown and violence, with a sense of impending doom hanging in the air. The poverty and discontent of the French populace are palpable, setting the stage for the upheaval that will follow. The introduction of Lucy Manette, Dr. Manette's daughter, adds a personal and emotional dimension to the story. Lucy's love and devotion to her father are a beacon of hope and redemption in the darkness that surrounds them. Her reunion with her father highlights the theme of familial bonds and the power of love to heal and transform. This section sets the stage for the epic tale of love, sacrifice, and redemption that will unfold in the subsequent sections of the novel. Dickens's rich and evocative prose, coupled with his keen social commentary, make this section a compelling and thought-provoking beginning to a literary classic. A gathering of tensions. 5 years later, the world has changed. The winds of revolution are gusting through France, and the storm clouds are gathering. In the midst of this, we meet Charles Darnay, a newcomer who's on trial in London for treason against the British Crown. He is accused of passing English military secrets to the French. The interesting twist is that Darnay seems to be on the side of the revolution, making for a bit of a courtroom drama. Luckily, he has a couple of legal heavyweights in his corner, Mr. Stryver and the brilliant yet dissolute Sidney Carton. Meanwhile, in France, we get to know the Marquis Saint-Evremond, Darnay's uncle. He's the epitome of the arrogant and cold-hearted French aristocracy, showing zero sympathy for the impoverished peasants. In a chilling incident, the Marquis accidentally runs over a child with his carriage and callously dismisses it as a mere inconvenience. This tragic event becomes a haunting symbol of the aristocracy's cruelty. In England, Lucy Manette faces a personal crisis. Her father, Dr. Manette, relapses into his old, troubled state. The cause? A traumatic encounter with a former patient who died in prison, a grim reminder of his own torment in the Bastille. Pining over Lucy is Sidney Carton. A character with a world of potential, he's a brilliant lawyer, but leads a dissolute life. He's in love with Lucy, but he's well aware that he's a man of wasted opportunities. In a heart-wrenching moment, he confesses his love to her, knowing full well that he would not be the man she'd choose. Then we meet Mr. Stryver again, who, let's just say, is a bit full of himself. He's planning to propose to Lucy, but it's not out of love. It's more about social climbing and personal ambition. He doesn't hold a candle to the depth of emotion you see in other characters. The stage moves to Paris, where the Defarges run a wine shop. They're not just pouring wine, they're part of the burgeoning revolutionary movement. They're keeping a list, a record of those who stand against the people. This serves as a foreshadowing of the violence and chaos that's brewing. Monseigneur in town and Monseigneur in the country take a satirical swipe at the French aristocracy's decadence and indifference. The rich are fleeing to their country estates to avoid the unrest in Paris, despite their earlier insensitivity to the suffering of the peasants. Meanwhile, a cruel twist of fate befalls the Marquis Saint-Evremond as he's murdered in his own home. It's a stark reminder that the anger of the oppressed is reaching a boiling point. Then comes a significant revelation. Dr. Manette's letter, hidden away in a cornerstone of his old prison cell in the Bastille, is found. This letter paints a horrific picture of his captivity, exposing the brutality and inhumanity he endured. The letter serves as a spark, fueling the flames of revolution and intensifying the people's hatred for the aristocracy. Back in London, Darnay and Carton take different paths. Darnay's deeply in love with Lucy. He proposes to her. On the flip side, Carton makes a profound decision about his future. He's aware of his own shortcomings and vices, and he's resolved to change, to do something meaningful with his life. Then there's a big moment. Dr. Manette, who had no idea about Darnay's aristocratic background, initially objects to the marriage. But eventually, he agrees, and the wedding takes place. All the while, Sidney Carton, who loves Lucy deeply but knows he can't have her, makes a solemn promise to protect her and Darnay at any cost. The chapter ends with an unsettling feeling. Peace in London is fragile, and across the Channel in France, the storm is about to break. The Defarges and their revolutionary friends are gearing up for action, and you can sense that things are about to get a lot more intense. Analysis. This part of the story delves deeper into the characters and their evolving relationships, while also intensifying the social and political backdrop of pre-revolutionary France. Charles Darnay, the novel's central figure, emerges as a complex character. He is introduced as a man on trial in England, and his character embodies the novel's theme of resurrection. Darnay's initial trial highlights the harsh justice system of the time, with accusations against him stemming from his noble family's oppressive actions in France. His acquittal introduces the ideas of justice and mercy, emphasizing the role of the legal system in society. Darnay's character also serves as a representation of the conflict between social classes. He distances himself from his family's aristocratic past, indicating a moral division within the aristocracy itself. His inner conflict exemplifies the broader struggle for redemption and transformation within society. Sidney Carton, a prominent character in this section, undergoes significant development as well. He is portrayed as a brilliant but dissolute lawyer, wasting his talents. His internal conflict and sense of wasted potential are emblematic of the larger theme of resurrection and personal redemption. Lucy Manette, in contrast to Darnay and Carton, maintains a consistent and unwavering character throughout this section. She represents purity, compassion, and familial love. Her character serves as a moral compass in the novel, anchoring the story's emotional core. This section also highlights the socio-political climate of both England and France. England is portrayed as a relatively stable and just society, while France is on the brink of revolutionary chaos. The stark contrast between the two nations underscores the overarching theme of duality. The Marquis Saint-Evremond symbolizes the oppressive French aristocracy. His indifference to the suffering of the common people and the tragic incident involving a child's death demonstrate the heartlessness of the ruling class. This chapter establishes a powerful critique of the aristocracy and foreshadows the retribution that will follow during the revolution. In addition, the mention of the Jacquerie suggests the simmering revolutionary sentiment in France. This term refers to the rural uprising during the French Revolution, when peasants sought revenge against their oppressors. Dickens uses such historical references to emphasize the inevitability of the impending revolution. Love and sacrifice are central themes in this section. The love between Lucy and her father, Dr. Manette, is unwavering and serves as a source of emotional strength. Darnay's love for Lucy and Carton's unrequited love for her underscore the sacrifices they are willing to make for her happiness and well-being. Carton's declaration that he would lay down his life for Lucy foreshadows a significant sacrifice that will occur later in the novel. Resurrection and redemption. This section opens with the revolutionary fervor in full swing in Paris. The streets are a battleground, and the common people are rising up against the aristocracy. The Defarges, who've been lurking in the background, emerge as relentless avengers, hunting down the remnants of the Evremond family, which includes Charles Darnay. It's a moment of reckoning, as the sins of the past return to haunt the present. Darnay returns to France out of a sense of duty and is arrested by the Revolutionary Tribunal. His life teeters on the edge as he faces charges linked to his aristocratic lineage. Madame Defarge, in her relentless quest for vengeance, becomes a formidable antagonist, symbolizing the rage of the oppressed. While Darnay's life hangs in the balance in Paris, back in London, the Manette family and their friends launch a desperate rescue mission. The clock is ticking, and it's a race against time. This chapter builds to a dramatic climax, where justice and mercy face off in the form of Darnay's verdict. Throughout these tumultuous events, Lucy Manette stands as a beacon of grace and courage. She embodies unwavering love and support for her father, Dr. Manette, and her husband, Darnay. Her calm in the midst of the storm is a testament to the power of love and resilience, and it becomes a source of solace for those around her. In one memorable chapter, we get a glimpse into the lives of the common people of France, the very heart of the revolution. A woodsawyer, a man of humble means, symbolizes the suffering masses who yearn for justice and equality. His enthusiasm for the revolution is tinged with the harsh realities of life, highlighting the stark contrast between revolutionary ideals and the struggles on the ground. As Darnay's trial reaches its climax, there's a parallel with the life-and-death drama of the French Revolution. It's a heart-pounding moment as the verdict is delivered. The events in England are closely intertwined with the life-and-death drama in Paris, and its a tension-filled intersection of fates. The ultimate showdown between good and evil unfolds in the next chapter. Sidney Carton takes center stage. He takes on Darnay's identity to fulfill his promise of protecting Lucy's happiness. It's a heart-rending moment that encapsulates the themes of resurrection, love, and selflessness that run through the novel. With Darnay's life saved from the guillotine, he faces the challenge of rebuilding his life and making amends for the past. The shadow of his family's actions still lingers, and he must prove himself to Lucy and her father. It's a reflection on the enduring impact of one's actions and the possibility of redemption. The novel concludes with a revisiting of the theme of duality, echoing the famous opening lines, "It was the best of times, it was the worst of times." The revolution has brought both destruction and hope, and the characters have undergone profound transformations. It's a reflection on the dual nature of human existence and the potential for rebirth and renewal. Analysis. Throughout A Tale of Two Cities, the theme of resurrection is prominent. Charles Darnay, Sidney Carton, and even Dr. Manette undergo profound transformations, mirroring the broader societal transformation occurring during the French Revolution. Darnay's trial and Carton's ultimate self-sacrifice epitomize personal resurrection and redemption, emphasizing the novel's central message that individuals can change and find redemption. The French Revolution serves as a backdrop for the narrative, and this section vividly portrays the chaos, brutality, and desperation of the period. Dickens provides a scathing critique of the aristocracy's callousness, the oppressive system that fueled the revolution, and the subsequent reign of terror. The characters of the Defarges and Madame Defarge symbolize the anger and desire for retribution of the oppressed masses. The grindstone symbolizes the inexorable march of the revolution, grinding away lives without mercy. Madame Defarge's knitting encodes the names of those to be condemned, serving as a chilling symbol of the revolution's ruthlessness. Additionally, Carton's self-sacrifice is a symbolic act of rebirth and renewal, representing the hope for a better future. The relationships between the characters come to a head in this section. Lucy's unwavering love and support serve as a stabilizing force amidst the tumult, emphasizing the power of compassion and resilience. The contrast between Carton's transformation and Madame Defarge's unrelenting pursuit of vengeance underscores the duality of human nature, with Carton representing the potential for positive change and redemption. The narrative structure is intricately woven, with events in London and Paris unfolding in parallel. This structure heightens the tension and underscores the interconnectedness of characters and events on both sides of the channel. The converging storylines ultimately result in a powerful climax that ties together the novel's overarching themes. Final summary. This sweeping historical novel is set in London and Paris during the turbulent times of the late 18th century. The story interweaves the lives of several characters, including Charles Darnay, a man with a mysterious past, Sidney Carton, a dissolute lawyer seeking redemption, and the virtuous Lucy Manette. Against the backdrop of the French Revolution, the novel explores themes of love, sacrifice, and resurrection. The plot navigates through personal and societal transformations, culminating in an unforgettable act of self-sacrifice by Carton. Dickens vividly portrays the stark contrast between the decadent aristocracy and the oppressed masses, shedding light on the social and political injustices of the era. With its intricate narrative structure and powerful character development, A Tale of Two Cities is a timeless classic that continues to resonate with readers, offering profound insights into the human condition and the enduring power of compassion and selflessness. Thank you for listening to or watching this episode. Please like, comment and subscribe.